Welcome to my show. It's a guest here. Her name is Dianelba Vargas. Mrs. Dianelba, how are you doing, ma?
I'm doing great. Blessed. Happy to be here. And thank you for the invitation. And thank you for all you do for other people.
All right. Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity, Mrs. Dianelba. Firstly, you are an author. You are also a coach and you guide survivors through their emotional healing. Can you please, Mrs. Dianelba, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mrs. Dianelba?
Yes, I published a book through um, a survivor of trauma also, which is very power. It's called the Powerful Books Community, and it's been published for 1 year already. And the the healing journey after doing the book has been the going back to those little parts of myself that didn't heal without that help. Now is that I'm seeing all the time frame. Now is when I'm seeing really the real purpose of doing that work. And also with the coaching, I'm in the early stages of it because I didn't want it to do it only because of okay, I heal myself and then I want to help people and that's it. It's really it's a subject that is sensitive. And so I went and I did my life coaching certification and I am taking training to do it online because it's a whole world that I didn't even know it was like that. But the discovery of you taking the step to want to do this, it opens a it's a discovery process. And I'm doing that right now. And it's a blessing because I'm listening to the voice who saved me, the voice of God.
And I am glad that you are doing it well because it is not easy. When someone
No.
have gone through a lot of healing and one wants to use it to, encourage others and also put others through, it's something that is not easy. It goes through learning and development because there are sometimes we need to learn and see how we could also navigate things to also improve ourselves and also other people will see around us. And that is why I also like to dive to your book, Mrs. Dianelba, From Hate to Love. Can you please, Mrs. Dianelba, discuss more about that book? And do you also plan to write more books in the coming future, Mrs. Dianelba?
Well, that's a great question. Yes, I do want to write another one, but I am giving myself time to to for this one. I want to make sure that the purpose of this book is doing its purpose. I want already I've been getting a lot of feedback on the book itself, but it's a process. It's a book that is not only a book so people can know my story. It's a book that has also certain steps that people can take to transform those emotions from hate to love. From hate is a very strong emotion, negative emotion, and to go from hate to love, that gap, it's a process.
Yes, hate is very powerful, and love is another sense because we cannot have the two emotions together. We have to know how to decide to know how we could love, and we have to know how to take the hate away because it will always come sometimes. That is how the body is being programmed. And that is why I would like to dive to a point whereby many survivors they struggle with isolation. During our old times, there is still more community. People still live through their true self. There are more humanity and connection with nature. But the time we are now, more people are more isolated due to the social media and the technology we have around us. So many people, survive. Many survivors struggle with isolation. What do you think from the experience you've had, Mrs. Dianelba, is the first step that someone can take to begin to feel connected again with the community, with people, even if they are not ready to even share that story. They haven't got to that point, Mrs. Dianelba.
Yes, isolation is normal because we as survivors, we don't trust a lot of people, you know, and we believe that we are alone. And in reality, we are not. It's just because we have been betrayed from from the people that we thought they were, our support, and they had love for us. And yes, they may have love for us, but sometimes they don't know how to deal with these type of situations. And one step that would be very important is to find a support group. It could be in your community, it could be church, whatever that looks for that person. They can go and do that. Don't be afraid. Just do it because it's gonna be a game changer. We cannot do it on our own. Okay, we cannot. We can hold on, yes, but we have to take that step. We need people in our lives, believe it or not. Yes.
And I totally agree. Sometimes we face hard times, things are being pressured, the pressure will be there. And these are the times we will know how valuable we need people around us. And that is why we need to, have this kind of physical contact with some communities, with some areas, no matter area, probably in the church or anywhere that we know that we could have people so that when the problem or when the issues come, we could have people who are going to be there for us, who will look out to us, and who will show to us that they really, really care because that thing is something we really need. So that we, as humans, will not get to a point whereby we do what we probably would later regret. So we need someone that we can rely on, and it's not easy because I agree with what you said earlier. Sometimes some people are being isolated due to probably what happened to them in the past, due to probably a lot of people betrayed them, something that the people that they never even believed would do something to them did it. So those are one of the things that usually cause issues like that at times. So it's something we need to work on. So also know how we could gain the sense of people that we could rely on, and they can also rely on us when there are issues. And also, when people want to express their feelings, is sometimes not easy because when one is isolated and in a position whereby he or she might not be able to share his or her story or speak to people. So, what do you think are some small ways from the experience you've had, Mrs. Dianelba, that a survivor can express their feelings without a fear of probably they are being judging, they are being judging themselves or they are re-traumatizing themselves, Mrs. Dianelba?
Yes. Finding people that have been through similar things or the same are the best people because they will understand what you're going through and they will not judge you. They will give you the space. They have the right things to say, and it's a game changer. That's why I joined the community, the Powerful Books community, because in that group, even though my background is sexual childhood trauma, but the coach has trauma in general. So in there's people that have other type of trauma, which I'm learning a lot from them too, to know what how trauma affects everybody in different ways, even though it's not the same trauma. But when you go specifically to the one that happened to you, it is you feel understood, you feel safe, and that's what we need. We need to feel safe in order to open up and just share our stories.
Mm. That is
Mm.
very, very powerful, to be honest. Sometimes we have a lot of issues when we are a child. When one is a child, there are some issues we face. And we have to understand that when we even want to share our situation with someone that we think could understand and rely on us, we should try our best to make sure that person also probably would have, faced some kind of situation, has been through some kind of ups and downs and those situations, because it is those type of people that we understand better. because they've been through that situation, so they understand better and they will know how to walk the other person through that situation so that it won't get to a point whereby it gets more worse, or probably it even get to a point whereby it could be, they know the repercussion, they know how tough it is. They are the one that will also know how that thing can also be solved in its own way. And also, for people who have loved one, because as a person you had some childhood abuse, stuff like that, and for people who has been through abuse, and when we are having some kind of dialogue with such person, anybody can have the dialogue with the person, and there are some things we have to say. There are some things we must not have to say because it is a very, very big trauma. So, what do you think are the most important thing to say and not to say in such situations, Mrs. Dianelba?
Yes, that's a very good question actually, because I was thinking if we want to hear, well, I will say what I wanted to hear when that happened to me. And it is to being asked how I felt. So I think the best thing you can ask somebody is how do you feel? How did you feel about it? And then they can just feel that you care about what they don't feel lonely. That yes, that will be, and what not to say or what to say. I don't know exactly like what they should not say, but definitely that will be the best thing to just give them the space there and just how do you feel? It's I only two people ask me that when I'm in my healing now recently after I published the book and I'm talking more about it. I only had two people from my family members and that I felt loved only with that question.
Oh, that is very, very beautiful. That shows that we have to know as human to know how for us to understand a conversation with such situation, we have to know how do you feel about it? What did you see and what did you not see about it? It shows that sense of one feeling like I think this person really cares. Because and that is why situations like this, we have to develop a skill called listening ears. We have to be ready to listen. Because when we hear situations like this, we have to be, as the other person, we have to be calm enough to listen carefully to see how this person is feeling because it's very important so that we'll know where to navigate next. So if we can ask, how do you feel? What do you think happened? How did it happen? All those things make them explain it better than when that information comes to you, then one will know what to do next, one will know what to say next, and it will be so easy if that person have been through such situation. So easy because the person will know how to walk the person through and see how the person can also overcome such situation. It's not easy, but it's something that is necessary for us to understand. So I honestly appreciate you for that insight, Mrs. Dianelba. And also, talking about story, people want to share that story, people want to talk about that story, but some people are in a point of fear. Some people are in a point of what will people say about it? And that has always been an issue, probably in our time, because this powerful media that we have, if anything comes out and it's outside there, anybody can just say, I won't even go through it and read it. That is how the world we are into currently. So you mentioned in your book and also other things you've written that telling your story was not part of also your healing, was also part of your healing, rather, was also part of the healing. That means telling the story was also part of the healing. So, how do you think people or listeners can decide if or when they think they are ready to tell the story, or when they are not in the position to share the story, Mrs. Dianelba?
Yes, that's great question again. Uh, you're never gonna be ready, really, to tell your story. It's the hard truth. You're never gonna be ready. That's why I am blessed and thankful for other people who have done it because those are the ones that open the door for us or give us their hand and they will say, hey, this is it's okay for you to say it. It is scary. I Writing the book and sharing my story is one thing. Okay, writing, you can write. You are with nobody next to you. But when you talk about it, then you you have that fear of judgment, of criticism, which I had it already in some of the platform where I have shared my story. There's people who are gonna say negative comments about it, and that's why the healing and the support group is so important because they do give you that support and do it anyways. That's what my coaches have told me. Do it anyways, even with the fear. Because if you don't do it, what happens is that that stays trapped in your body. And if you don't release it, you get sick. So
Perfectly.
do it anyway. It's scary. I still get nervous when I'm going to talk about it publicly because it's a process. But I understand. I thinking about the higher purpose is what helps me to do it because I know that somebody else is gonna get a benefit from it.
Definitely.
Yes.
When it is being shared, that is when people too will know about it. They will also know how to work on themselves and also know how these things are going on around the surrounding our community. And I love what you said. One is not going to be ready, and that is just the perfect truth.
Mhm.
We have to try our best to just bring this out. And it is a process. I love what you said. It is a process. And that is why the eating is very important. Because if we work on that process, start to say this thing, open up to people, is a sense of healing. Then we can try our best to, become more confident. I think bring this sense of strength within ourselves because we are not bringing those things that are being in our hearts out. We are not bringing it out. Now the real positivity will come back in, and that brings the sense of healing. But we need to just do it because when we wait for the time, the time will not come, and that is what we need to understand. And also, I also like to dive to your experience. How pain became a source of strength. I know you said that, saying your productivity and also saying the story, letting people know about the story is also a part of that healing. But in your experience, how do you think pain also can also become that source of strength, not just for the survivor, but just for the wider community that we find ourselves today, Mrs. Dianelba?
Yes, the pain is it has a purpose because you cannot stay in pain forever. So you know that you have to do something about it. If not, you're not gonna make it. So survival is pushing through. So pushing through that pain and knowing that you're not gonna be there forever. There's always a solution for everything. And I know it's easier said than done because I know when somebody is there, they don't see it that way. But God, okay, that energy is there with you all the time. And you can feel it. Sometimes we do ignore it because we are humans and it's very different when we get disconnected. We depending on our story, like our beliefs and how we grew up, but that energy is always with you. And if you go in that pain, it's very beautiful that you can go within and go to the dark and just be there and ask the Lord or whoever the person believes, ask that energy and that energy will answer you, not in the moment that you think it will answer you or in the way that you think it's going to answer you, but you got to be focused, waiting for it, looking for it, be curious and always ask and you will be answered. and the Lord is always with you, and He will take you to the light. He will bring you the right people, like you and me, and they will see the light.
And that is where the true happiness is. And that is where
Yeah.
the healing also comes from. This is what we all need to understand. We have to know how to connect with what we have. I, as a person, I also connect with God, Jesus Christ, and His lovely mother. I try my best to connect with them. And that is what has always, helped me heal, and also with all the ups and downs. And that is what we need to understand as humans. You know, Sometimes we are humans. We have the skin, we have everything, but there are some things we need to connect to. And that is where the happiness, that is where the healing itself comes from. And that is what we need to, develop within ourselves so that we can have a very strong healing. Because if we do not have this thing, all this pain will just be there. When we sit down and we ask Christ, this is what I'm facing, no matter what we are connecting to, we bring it down, this sense of calmness come. And when this sense of calmness come, then we realize the strength starts to come in. Because, this body is just something that we have to just continue to maintain spiritually, physically, every single way we can do it, no matter what we're connecting to. Every single people know what they're connecting to. Connect with that thing and make sure you are using it well, and it's definitely working well for you. That is the best thing that we could do for ourselves. And I'm so glad you understand this. And it has also helped you in a very, very huge way. I'm so much glad. I would like to go back to your book, Mrs. Dianelba, From It to Love. If the listeners could take just one thing from your book or one lesson from your book, Mrs. Dianelba, what do you think it will be, Mrs. Dianelba?
One lesson from the book will be to say yes to yourself. To say yes to yourself. When you say yes to yourself, the path, you will see the path.
Hmm.
Commitment to your well-being.
Beautiful. Saying yes to oneself. If you can say this
Yeah.
yes, every single thing just come out because it's not going to be easy. Most especially
No.
something that has been installed in the mind for probably years. It's not always easy. But we have to do it because that is even a process to heal. Because if we also heal, it will also help us to also be more, just to live more life that is more beneficial to us. And it's not going to be easy, but we just have to give it a try. It's just something we need to give a try. And also, Mrs. Dianelba, there's a question I normally ask during the end of the show from our forefathers, from our ancestors. There are a lot of beautiful things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Mrs. Dianelba, what do you think that thing will be, Mrs. Dianelba?
It will be caring for other people. Genuinely caring from the heart for other people because everybody's going through their own struggles. So be empathy. We need more empathy in this world. Definitely. And it's not going to be perfect, but we can all learn and do it just a little bit.
Yes, I completely agree. We are really lacking that. And we hope from the bottom of what we've discovered in our world today that kindness, love, empathy is something that we start to embrace back from one another because we as humans will face a lot of issues. Sometimes things will be tough. And I love what you said. We are all facing a lot. Every single person are facing, so they have something they are passing through. And that is what we have to understand. And that is why we need each other at times. We need the kind of dialogue. We need this kind of communication with one another. You know, the technology is just there for us to connect and also explore more things. We shouldn't now put all the focus and just, we have to bring more kindness, more humility, because I think if we are humble enough, if we are calm enough, I think we'll all, be more kind and more, more responsive in some kind of situations. And we hope that in the coming future, this definitely come around. And from the bottom of my heart, I am so glad that you've healed. I'm so glad that you're now much stronger because I have to be honest with you. if you haven't healed, I don't think you might even have the opportunity to say, I want to be in this podcast, stuff like that. Now that you say you want to be in a podcast, you're writing a book, it shows that you are healing, you've developed, and you are now strong again. Now you're, and I love that you want to bring it out again for people to just, learn one or two things. I'm so glad at that. And I also want to use this opportunity to thank you for the time and the opportunity you've given to me to speak on this important topic. Thank you so much, Mrs. Dianeba.
Thank you so much. God bless you. And God bless your audience too. Everybody.
And you too, Mrs. Dianelba. Have a wonderful day, Mrs. Dianelba. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.